Morning class. Let's start with the next chapter, Agriculture in India. This is chapter 7, and we have studied about it earlier that the word agriculture is made up of two words, agar, which means land, and culture, which means cultivation. So agriculture is basically cultivation on land. Now we all know that India is an agricultural land, and more than 70% of India's population is directly or indirectly dependent on agriculture. Now why do we say that is because most of the land is being cultivated by farmers, and when the farmers are cultivating this crop, whatever, whether it is wheat, rice, vegetables, jute, tea, coffee, spices, whatever they are cultivating is being sold in the market. So people are directly or indirectly occupied by agriculture, and then when it is sold in the market, it is taken up by factories or industries, and then it is processed for finished products, or it is sold in the wholesale market and then in the retail market. So that is why we say that 70% of India's population is directly or indirectly dependent on agriculture. Apart from that, it's a major source of national income. It provides food and fodder, also a source of raw material to the industries. It consumes many industrial products, like tractors, fertilizers, pesticides are utilized by the agriculture industry. So it also enhances the growth of the other industries. Of course, it provides employment, and secondly, it is also helpful in the export. We export a lot of food as well as cash crops. Now, what is the characteristic of the Indian agriculture? First, of course, it is dependent on monsoon. No matter how much our government says that they are constructing dams and bridges and canals for the farmers so that they can get plenty of water, but still 50% of our agriculture is dependent on the monsoon rains. So we are dependent on the monsoon. Monsoon is good, crops are good. Monsoon fails, crop also fails. Monsoon is more than required, crop fails. Apart from that, we have different types of soils, we have different types of climate which enables us to grow different types of crops. Like for example, we have four types of soil which we have in India. We have already studied that in the previous chapters, and those types are red, black, alluvial and laterite. So different types of crops can be grown in these kind of soils. Apart from that, different crops require different kind of temperature and rainfall conditions, and we do have plenty of different combinations of rainfall and temperatures throughout our country. So a lot of different types of crops can be grown. We generally follow subsistence type of agriculture, meaning that the farmers cultivate crops which are essentially consumed by them or by their family members. It is commercial type of agriculture is less. It is not sold off in the market, and the land holdings, or you can say the farm sizes, are very small, uneconomical, for the simple reason that in India we have law of inheritance. So what does law of inheritance means? That the land which the father has, when he dies, or his sons and daughters, they want equal share of his property. So they divide the land. Supposing a father has three sons or three children, so the land gets divided into three equal parts. Then one part which belongs to a son or a daughter, when he grows old, his children will also ask for equal share in his piece of land, so it gets further redivided. Therefore, after independence, the land holdings have become very, very small, and therefore they are uneconomic. It doesn't make any sense to spend a lot of money on machines or on pesticides and fertilizers, because the amount of time and money spent on all these, the crop which you get back in return, the produce, the yield, is not sufficient to provide profits. We have three growing seasons. Kharif, which is a summer crop, it is grown or sown in mid-June, and the crop is ready for harvesting around October. And the crops are rice, cotton. Rabi is a winter crop. It is sown in November and it is ready for harvesting around April. Crops are wheat and mustard and many more. These are just examples. And then we have an in-between or an extra crop which is called as Zayad or Zaid. This is grown in the months of April to June before the first monsoon hits. And here we can grow seasonal fruits and vegetables like dhania, mirchi, pudina, tomato. All these things can be grown during this time. Now, India's agriculture had a very bad phase after independence because the population was growing very fast, but the kind of food which we were providing to them, the supply was very less and the demand was rising high, and therefore the prices of grains were going higher and higher, and black marketing was also on the rise. So, method was used by the then Prime Minister Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. He invited a few scientists from Mexico and other places, and then a scientist from India and his team, Dr. M.S. Swaminathan. They sat down, and this talked this matter out, and they took out a new kind of seeds which are called as high yielding variety of seeds. And after we adopted these seeds and the methods which were required for the high yielding variety of seeds are produced, started growing more and more. This was first tried with wheat, and later on it was tried with the other crops as well. So within 5 years, the wheat crop, we could grow almost 120% of what we were growing earlier. So slowly and slowly, the same method was applied to all the other crops, and it started producing more. And today, we are not only self-sufficient, but we have plenty of surplus to sell outside. That means we are exporting the food as well as the cash crops after the steps taken by the Green Revolution. Now, what were the steps taken by the Green Revolution was use of high yielding variety of seeds, irrigation was provided, fertilizers were asked by the farmers to be applied, use of pesticides increased, improved transportation, that means roads were constructed which where the produce could be brought from the villages to the markets and to the industries. Then financial help was being provided by the government through various banks like NABARD and others to the farmers so that they could buy these high yielding variety of seeds, fertilizers, and pesticides and use them in their cultivation. And a lot of agriculture universities were also opened in this program so that more and more soil types, crop types could be studied so that better yield could be produced. All this happened in the Green Revolution, and after the Green Revolution, the crop produce or the crop yield increased many times after all these steps which were taken were applied properly. Now, though we say that the everything is good, government is helping out, everything is fine, but we still face a lot of problems of Indian agriculture, face a lot of problems, like Indian agriculture faces a lot of problems. First is pressure on land. We all know that overcrowding, population is increasing by leaps and bounds, and the amount of land which is available for cultivation is becoming less and less because people are giving up their agricultural land for malls and bridges and roads and railways and everything, and therefore the lot of pressure is on land because population is more, land available for cultivation is less. Therefore we have to cultivate the amount of land, available land which we have, to produce more and more. So there is a lot of pressure on land. Then we know that the monsoons are not very reliable. They are unreliable, they are erratic, they are uncertain, they are irregular, there is no time, there is no amount, there is no place, there is no space. So, and we know that 50% of agriculture is dependent upon rainfall or the monsoons. We still don't have enough irrigation facilities for everybody. I spoke to you about the small land holdings. Land holdings are small. We do not have big lands to cultivate where profit margins increases. Therefore farmers do not like to apply a lot of fertilizers or pesticides because then their profit margin reduces. And because of all this, the productivity automatically becomes low in comparison to the other countries, and therefore we face a lot of inflammation or inflation in the prices. Our farmers are still poor, uneducated. Therefore, old and obsolete methods are being used for cultivation. Some of them are orthodox. They still believe that they should not apply fertilizers or pesticides to their land. Then we have lack of mechanized farming also. A lot of machines are not being used. Manual labor is still used to get the productivity out of land. And financial problems, of course, are always there because they're uneducated. They do not know the schemes of the government. They are poor, and therefore they are unable to help themselves, and they are scared to take help from the others because they face a lot of problems like money lenders take out a lot of interest out of them and bleed them. Now there are certain steps which have been taken by the government to improve all this. Availability of seeds is made there, regulates the prices of many crops so that farmers get equal amount of price for their crop. Loans are being provided, special banks have been set up for farming or for farmers called as NABARD. Irrigation schemes are coming up now and then. Lands have been consolidated. The government has put up a provision of consolidating the land holdings so that the farmers can get together. They should, pool in the money, pool in the land, both and then cultivate, so that of course their profits and losses will also be divided, but then at least when they are buying fertilizers or when they are buying pesticides, when they are buying high yielding variety of seeds, they do not have to pay from one pocket, but they have a combined pocket. Then there government is providing subsidies on manures and fertilizers. That means they, some part of the price of manure and fertilizers and pesticides are being paid by the government, and the rest of it is being given by the farmer. So that is called as a subsidy on manure and fertilizers. So all these things are being done by the government. These are the steps which are taken by the government, so that the farmer should be not punished or should not be stressed out or put under pressure to cultivate more and then does not have many facilities with it. That's all for this video, and then in the next one we'll talk about the types of agriculture which are being followed in India.